Badass Birth podcast with me, your host, Jen Muir. I just want to thank whoever you are if you are listening to this very first ever episode, because I have wanted to do this for such a long time, and it really means a lot to me that people continue to, for some reason, want to hear what I have to say. If you have followed me on social media, then you will have a bit of an idea what Badass Birth is all about. But for anyone who is brand new to it all, then let me just take you through a whistle-stop journey, or tour rather, of Badass Birth and who I am and what I do. So, as I said, I'm Jen. I am a birth doula. I work primarily in Scotland, supporting families throughout their perinatal period, usually meeting with them when they are already pregnant, supporting them during that period of planning their birth. I will more or less always be with them when they birth their baby. And then postnatally, I will say a little short and sweet goodbye to them, and hopefully perhaps see them again at some point. I have been a doula now for 3 years, and I am just as obsessed today as I was the day of my training. I can't get enough. I cannot get enough of chatting about all things pregnancy and birth. I'm particularly interested in the human rights side of birth, understanding what you are entitled to, knowing that you can decline any procedures you're not comfortable with, but most of all, researching, understanding the evidence that's out there, and just really finding your power in knowledge. I fully believe that knowledge is power, and I try to encourage any and everyone that I meet over the course of pregnancy to do as much reading as possible, take in as much information as they can through whatever means works for them. And I've just fully believe that along with all the other birth preparation that you do, you should absolutely be carving out a large chunk of time to educate yourself and understand just how awesome birth is and how much of a positive experience it can be. Other birth professionals that you may or may not already be aware of, people with stories to share of their own births, really important experiences. I really want to just bring a platform to people who, have something valuable to share when it comes to all things pregnancy, birth, postnatal, breastfeeding, chest feeding, baby wearing, and if you at any point have any suggestions, or if you would be interested in, chatting with me on the podcast, then by all means get in touch. My Instagram is badass_birth. And just slide into the DMs and let me know what you want to see, or if you want to be a part of it, by all means. Why have I started this podcast? Well, I just think that there are a ton of amazing birth podcasts out there, and I am very much of the belief that the more the merrier in any scenario. And as of yet, I've yet to hear an angry Scottish woman present her own birth podcast. So there you go. There was a niche, a space in the market. I don't know how often I'll be updating the podcast, at least monthly anyway, hopefully more often than that, we'll see. And like I say, I want to bring a really diverse range of different guests to you, different voices, so send any suggestions over. A little bit more about me. So I was asked today to perhaps make episode number 1 around my journey towards being a doula, why I decided to do this work, and maybe little excerpts into or insights into the experiences I've had so far as a doula, because, yeah, I mean, if it was me listening to another doula tell her experience, I would be so interested in that. So, here we go then. I'm 34 at the time of recording, which is November 2019. And I first came across the idea of a doula when I was about 21. I read birth books quite a lot, and I cannot remember the specific book that I was reading, but I came across this idea of doulas, and when I looked into it a little further and realised that there was such a thing as a professional birth support person, birth companion, I was just completely blown away. I was always interested in training to be a midwife, and even up until recently, I was still very much entertaining the idea of training to become a midwife. But as time has gone on, and I've realised the beautiful balance that I have in this role, I've come to the realisation that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But anyway, I digress. So I came across this idea of doulas and started to research it more. One of the very first people I came across in my research was a woman called Nicola Goodall. And I was immediately drawn to Nicola, and I began to sort of follow her work, read anything and everything I could of hers. Nicola does an amazing TED talk that I had watched, and then I just rested on my laurels for 10 years, constantly playing over this dream of leaving the job that I was in at the time. I worked in an office environment with an insurance company, and while I did love the time that I was there and I loved how social it was, I was always talking about the things that I wanted to do when I eventually left, and becoming a doula was one of them. Until I had my third child, who is now 3. So I birthed him in 2016, and it was while I was on maternity leave. I decided one day to just get really brave and send an email off to Nicola Goodall, who coincidentally at that time was running doula training, still is, the Red Tent Doula Preparation course. If anyone is interested at all in becoming a doula, or is already a doula and wants to enhance what they do, then please check out what Nicola does. She's just so cool. And so I sent Nicola an email and proceeded to just kind of get on with life. And it was when I received a reply from Nicola saying, yes, there is a course. It's happening in Edinburgh. I live in Stirling, so it's like a 40-50 minute drive. You're more than welcome to join us. Here you go. And I was like, okay, well, let's do it. And so Tommy was born in the June, and I believe it was late September, perhaps early October, that it might have been late October, apologies, but anyway, that I went for my doula preparation weekend at Nicola's home. And it was just it sounds so cliche, and you will hear doulas say this all the time when they talk about their own training course, but it totally changed my life. I feel like I became a completely, fuller person over the course of that weekend. I understood myself more, and I think one of the main things I took away was to have Nicola, someone that I had respected and followed for so long, look at me and say, you'll be an amazing doula. You will be fantastic at this. You are meant for this. You need to do it. To have someone that I respected so much saying that to me when, over the course of 10 years, yes, I had dreamt about becoming a doula, but never really fully believed that I would be accepted into that world for various different reasons. It was powerful. And I left that weekend feeling so pumped. And actually the work had begun a good month or so beforehand. I believe I checked today, and my Instagram page, I started in the August. So I had put the plans in place, for quite a while before that. Excuse me while I take a drink. And I had started putting feelers out and chatting to other doulas, other people who worked in that sort of realm, healers and therapists and hypnobirthing practitioners, etc. I tried to meet as many people as I possibly could in my local area. And through those meetups and through those conversations, I, on the way home from one of the days of the course, received my first ever inquiry to work with someone as their doula. And I remember, pulling over to have a read of the message that I'd received, and it was from a pregnant woman, a midwife who was planning her third home birth, had contacted a doula in Glasgow who was unfortunately at that time unavailable and who had mentioned my name. And it was just, I still remember it now. I was actually dancing in the car at this inquiry, and I could cry just now thinking about it, because that person means so much to me even now. And that was it. And I just thought, everything has aligned, and I really am supposed to be doing this, and someone wants to work with me. And yeah, that's how it all sort of began. And that was 3 years ago. That was 2016. And here we are now, 3 years later, and I am on call for birth number 31 at the moment. Actually, again, it's almost like the stars aligning. The person that I am on call for at the moment lives so in quite a close proximity to Nicola Goodall. So it will be lovely to support a birth right, almost a stone's throw away from where it all began for me. It still blows my mind that people are booking me and, that value the work that I do and what I bring to their experience. It's insane. Yeah, a little bit what else about me. So I am a mum of 3 boys, which is just the biggest joy ever. They are just the coolest dudes. My eldest is 16. His name is Shay, Shay. Some people think I'm saying Shane. That's why I clarify that. My middle kid is 10. His name is Daniel. We just call him Danny. Or Bogle. Danny Bogle. The Bogue. He's a major character, the comedian of the house. And then the little man is Tommy. He is 3. And he is, to anyone who's ever met him, I'm biased. I think he's the cutest creature that's ever lived. But I really do think he is. He's like, if you were to just get a pile of cinnamon buns and create a human out of them, that's who he is. He's just the squishiest, wee delicious thing in the world. I also think this is relevant to me, and yeah, I'm one of those people, but I am an Aquarian. And if you Google Aquarius and the character traits that they have, I feel that I relate to quite a few of them. One of them being, what is it that they said? I can't remember, but basically it's almost like the activists of the zodiac. And I remember when I was young always being told, why do you have to be so loud, Jen? Just shush for 5 minutes. Stop showing off. And it wasn't, I never was attempting to show off or anything like that, but I was always loud and kind of in your face, and I guess that was perceived as being a show off. But I think, again, I love my Instagram. I love the Badass Birth so much that because it allows me to be who I really am. I try to highlight things that are going on in birth at the moment and really sort of bring people's attention to certain things that are happening that might have slipped their radar. And I try to shout quite loudly about injustice. And I'm still unpicking a lot of that as to, why do I feel I have to do that? Why am I drawn to that? I'm at the moment really trying to work on how do I ensure that I am shining a light on the right places and, holding up the right people without coming across as like a saviour, or like a glory hunter or something like that. And that's, it's ongoing work. And yeah, I am uncomfortable regularly trying to sort of unpick what my privilege is and how I can do the work that I want to do without diminishing the work of others. So that is an ongoing thing for me. And I think it's really important. Firstly, I think it's really important that, if you are in birth business, that your business is ran how you're comfortable running it. Yeah, it needs to be your voice. It needs to be you. You need to be, yes, out with your comfort zone, but you need to keep yourself safe. But that said, if you are making the decision to work in birth, then there are a lot of factors to this, and you have to be willing to do the work, to learn, to grow, to understand, things like your privilege, if you have that, and you can't shy away from it. So at the moment, I guess ramming that down people's throats in the nicest way I possibly can. And then dealing with the after effects of that. Perhaps being told that my shining a light on certain areas of this, it feels like I am labelling people as, certain dreadful things. And so I'm trying to find balance there. And I hope I'm not waffling too much about that. But that's just what's relevant to me at this particular time. I want to give you, maybe I will share more of these over the course of the podcast, and they will always remain anonymous. But today, I thought it was relevant to share my first ever experience of a birth. And I don't mean my first ever birth myself. What I mean is my first birth in a doula capacity. And this will remain anonymous. And yeah, basically there will be no details given here that would give any of who this person is away. My first birth experience as a doula was in a voluntary capacity, and I was lucky enough to support a woman who chose an elective cesarean. So that is the only cesarean I've ever been present in theatre for. And it was a very, very cool thing to do, to support the person in that environment and see, the logistics of how cesareans work. And that experience is really, really important to me. We are almost at exactly 3 years since then. It was early December 2016. And that person will stay with me in my memories and in my heart forever. Yeah, that is as much kind of detail as I'm able and willing to go into on that. But I guess to give you more insight into cesareans and doulas and things, because it's a common question of, can you still have a doula if you have a cesarean? Now, I was the only birth partner for that person at the time, and usually it's mainly more common for me to work with couples. So if in a situation one of my clients has an elective cesarean, then trusts very rarely will let more than one partner into theatre. Hopefully that'll change. There's definitely work to be done in terms of, looking at why that is. I believe it's the anaesthetist that makes the decision on how many people are able to come into the theatre. But if you know differently or are able to help me out with more information on that, then by all means, put a comment into the Instagram, badass_birth. And yeah, I fully believe that doulas are still able to support couples who have elective cesareans, and very much so emergency cesareans as well. There's a lot to be done in terms of planning your care for a cesarean section and, negotiating with your care team and having a doula there with you to help make sense of the information that you're being given, and, you know, gather up more evidence and more research to help you come to these decisions yourself is definitely definitely helpful. That said, I really don't want this place, this podcast, to become a place where I'm just like constantly battering on about get doulas. I really, really believe in choice, and that absolutely everyone is entitled to birth the way they want, with or without the people that they want. So yeah, I also want to educate though and answer any questions that people have about doulas. So yes, I have no idea how long I have been talking for. That's probably not the most professional thing. I should really start a stop clock next time. So I don't know if this is long enough or too long. But what I'm going to do is wrap this up here. I have an interview with a guest for, perhaps it'll be episode number 2. I'm not 100% sure, but they are there. I'm going to be speaking to them tonight, and it's AJ Silver, who is also known as Birthkeeper Doula on Instagram, and they are a doula in this Essex area, I guess. Sorry, AJ, that I can't be more specific, but I'm so excited to speak to AJ. They have so many cool, exciting things to cover, including birthing while queer, fat birth, and they have exciting things coming up as well to chat about in maybe a book. Oh no, let's see. I don't know how much they'll share with me on that. But this is a human being that I love very, very much, and I'm so excited to chat to them. And yes, obviously you're not going to have a chance to ask questions if you're listening to this at the moment, because the interview will already have happened. But if you do have any questions for AJ, just head to their Instagram page, and it is, bear with me. Yeah, it's, as I said, Birthkeeper Doula, all one word, over on Instagram. Go and follow them, ask them any questions. I know they will be totally open to that. And thank you so much for listening. If you made it to the end, then I feckin' love you. You're cracking. And please go on Instagram and tag me on your stories and let me know what you thought of this, what more you want to hear. If you do want to hear, hopefully you do more. And yes, thanks again. See you later. Bye-bye.